Hello, Michael Swain here after Kansas basketball's 77-68 win over Kentucky inside of Rupp Arena. And I think Bill Self's reaction in the final seconds of this contest, I think shows you everything you need to know about how big of a game this was for Kansas. The Jayhawks have not lost 4 games under Bill Self, and they've not lost 4 straight games this century. The 1988-89 season is the last time Kansas lost 4 straight games, and they avoided that with the win in Kentucky today. And I think this is a game that maybe reestablishes some of the identity that you saw from Kansas when they were playing at a really high level in December and even again at the start of conference play. This is a team that has to be gritty and has to work as a collective unit and play as a collective unit. I think in recent games you saw Jalen Wilson stepping up and playing at a high level, but I don't think the rest of the starters were playing at that equal high of a level. Well, here in Lexington on Saturday night, you saw a lot of those starters, I think, take steps forward and get back to where they were. You talk about KJ Adams, right? The points that he provided. Kevin McCullar, the defense, the rebounding, the points. Juwan Harris, the assists, lack of turnovers, points. Everyone collectively came together to put together a really strong performance. And so I think we got to start with Jalen Wilson, though. 22 points, goes 2 of 3 from 3. How many times in this game was Kentucky about to go on a run or felt like they were starting a run, and then Wilson makes a big-time shot either from mid-range or from 3? He's a player that I think is now playing with the utmost confidence. We've seen it at the end of the Kansas State game. You saw it against TCU. You saw it against Baylor. Jalen Wilson, I think, now has the confidence to go and take over some of these games and maybe do it in a more efficient manner than you saw at the start of conference play, where this isn't, 15 points on 15 shots. This is 22 points on 15 shots while not missing a ton or forcing up a bunch of three-pointers. A lot more efficient basketball from Jalen Wilson. And I think he's someone that is playing at a first-team All-American level. And I think with performances like this, he's going to work his way into the National Player of the Year conversation as that talk really starts to ramp up here as February approaches. As for the rest of the starters, I think Kevin McCullar is probably the next one we have to talk about, because I think he's someone that has not been great defensively as of late. Offensively has really struggled, and then I think he put it all together a little bit today. Defensively, he was crucial. I don't think he had a great start to the game. I think he got lost a little bit off the ball, and Bill Self said that KU didn't do a great job guarding in the first 5 minutes. But then they really stepped up, and Kevin McCullar helped KJ Adams take on Oscar Tshiebwe, where he doubled the post, was able to create some havoc, and Tshiebwe turned the ball over. KU was able to get out in rotations and limit what Kentucky was able to do off of those opportunities. McCullar deserves a ton of credit. 12 rebounds, 11 points, a double-double, plus what he did defensively. And he did it on a bum ankle that he hurt at the start of the second half. And I think you saw when Kevin McCullar left the game at the start of the second half, Kentucky started to build some momentum. And then as soon as he comes back in, all of a sudden some of that momentum dissipates. And I think it's a credit to him for that level of play defensively and being that aware on that end of the floor. I think KJ Adams deserves a ton of props for what he did. Obviously, he didn't guard Tshiebwe one-on-one a bunch and got beat a couple times, but that's going to happen. He's given up 4 inches and, 30 pounds maybe to Tshiebwe? This is a tough matchup. And I think for him to go and score like he did, I think it was 17 points? I got my notes here. 17 points on 10 shots. That's what KJ Adams was when he was scoring double digits for double-digit straight games. And to get back to that, where I think the mobility is there, and I think challenging guys at the rim, and obviously Kentucky defensively did not guard the pick and roll very well, but you still have to take advantage of those opportunities, and KJ Adams did. Huge step forward for him. I think Juwan Harris, you want to talk about a guy kind of finding his form again, makes 2 threes, multiple threes for the first time since that West Virginia game back on January 7th. Bill Self said he wanted 3 made threes from Juwan today. He only got 2, but I think you take 2 from him in a game like this, especially considering the fact that he brought you 8 assists as well. I think he did a pretty good job of handling the ball, and Kentucky did some things to try and limit what Harris can do. And then you've got Grady Dick, who I don't think it was his most crisp game overall, but he got to the free throw line, got to the rim. I think he was pretty big on the glass as well, and the glass is the biggest stat of this game. Kansas out-rebounds Kentucky 34-29. Kentucky had 0 second chance points. This is a team that grabs 40% of the rebounds on the offensive end, and Kansas didn't allow a single second chance point. That is one of the big reasons why they're winning, and that's one of the big reasons why they snapped that losing streak here in Lexington. So what's next? Well, the Big 12, and there's more challenging games ahead. Kansas State in Lawrence on Tuesday, Then they go to Ames, and then it just keeps going. Then you got Texas on the horizon, and then everything kind of starts to go back where you're playing all these games for a second time. So big win for Kansas. Obviously, we've got you covered with fog.net, coverage there, coverage on the YouTube channel. Hopefully you're enjoying the videos. If you are, make sure you're liking and subscribing to the channel. We're obviously going to keep these going, and spring football's around the corner. Basketball is really heating up, and Big 12 play is going to be really fun to watch over the last few months. So make sure you're staying tuned to fog.net, because we will have you with all sorts of Kansas coverage.